Hello everybody and welcome to this new video entitled The Most Undervalued Growth Stocks. Now this video is not the best stocks to buy, it's only asking the question, which are the stocks that are the most undervalued on a growth basis in my coverage universe. And as a reminder, I'm on vacation right now, and so I'm really taking some time off to make this video because these tend to be the most watched videos on the channel. But just so you know, the videos that you see on the channel are not my normal videos. I have a lot of evergreen videos, and I have 2 more weeks like that going on where I will be kind of away. But let me just go ahead and catch you up to speed on the valuation of the stocks that I cover usually on the channel. Quick reminder, on this channel I don't focus on value. I don't focus on earnings. There's every single channel out there focuses on earnings. This is not what I do. The type of investing that I do is focusing on enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth. It's a spin of the PEG ratio of Peter Lynch. The question that I'm asking is, how much am I paying for each percentage point of forward revenue growth for that stock? How much am I paying? The goal of the type of investing that I do is to try to invest for growth, and I try to look for stocks that are preferably early on, that are the early signs of their product adoption, that show early signs of product adoption. I try to sell the stock before the stock actually gets valued on a price to earnings ratio, before that stock moves away from that price to gross profit or that price to sales valuation metrics, and before we get that compression in the stock price. That's the type of investing. As a quick reminder, the channel is named Beat the Denominator because I am trying to beat monetary inflation. Monetary inflation is something that I estimate to be at about 15% per year. So in order to beat that, to double that, you need to do another 13% on top of the first 13%, and to 15% plus 15% equals 30. So that's why all of the stocks that I follow on the channel, what I'm looking for is a minimum growth rate in general of 30%. And a lot of the stocks on the spreadsheet, you'll see when they have lower than 30% growth rates, it means that when I bought them, they had more than 30%. But unfortunately, their guidance has moved down with the economic recession that we're going through, I believe, right now. So that's in a nutshell the type of investing that I do. One last thing, and this is consistent with a lot of my investing, is I punish my companies for debt. So I use enterprise value and not market cap because I want to penalize companies that have a lot of debt, because you have a lot of companies who have gone too heavy on the debt and who finance their growth by taking on debt. And this is mostly done, say, with revenue financing. For example, they'll borrow money in order to finance their customers' purchases, which is a very dangerous thing to do. And debt, of course, increases the odds that a company goes bankrupt. So I do not like debt in general for companies, even though I like it on say, the individual investor side. It's a good thing if you're investing, I believe, but I don't like it for a company. So this is just a nutshell of the investment, and let me go through each of them. So what are the cheapest stocks right now? So the cheapest stocks right now in my spreadsheet are StoneCo. StoneCo is the cheapest, followed by HIMS. HIMS usually was the cheapest last week. It's not anymore. Now it's StoneCo. StoneCo is showing really impressive growth numbers, really impressive numbers right now. Then what do we have? We have Love, which is a teeny tiny stock that I've covered, which is a sectional stock, which is, very interestingly, very cheap. Then we have STEM. STEM is a energy storage company. They are the main installer of Tesla Megapacks, but they also install a lot of Chinese stationary storage for utilities, for large industrial organizations. STEM also has a software, so STEM is the 4th cheapest. Then we have SoFi and Nubank, and these two stocks in my spreadsheet spreadsheet, they're always trading within a hair of each other in my spreadsheet. Like, it's really tough to know which is the cheapest. It seems like right now Nubank is doing really well with their growth and really growing much faster. SoFi, there's a lot of manipulation going on with the SoFi stock, but we may have a catalyst with a student loan, so I'll talk briefly about SoFi. And then INDI. INDI is a provider of semiconductors for a lot of companies that are trying to go electric. And India actually had a pretty good quarter, which is why they actually are the 6th cheapest stock. They went up in value, INDI. So that's interesting. And as far as the most expensive stocks, I don't need to spend much time on this. It's always the same usual suspects. It's Shopify and Nvidia, which are so expensive per my spreadsheet, and I'm out of both of these stocks. This is way too expensive. Special mention, special award to Snowflake as well for being very expensive. And typically, like in the way I look at stock, like if I have more than a 1 on any of these, this is what I would consider nosebleed valuation, and this is a sell for me. So if whenever I see a 1, I see a red flag here on these. And let me go through each stock in each of the megatrends. So as you know, when you're investing for product adoption, when you're dealing with new product adoption, you need to focus on megatrends, because typically adoption happens within trends, within the global environment, within some of the technological environment. You need to focus on these trends to look at these stocks. At least that's the way I do it. So let me go through each trend. The first trend, what I call my tier 1 trend, is the energy revolution stocks. Energy underlies everything we do. We move from wood to steam to oil and gas, and now we are moving to battery electric applications, whether it's our grid, whether it's our cars, it doesn't matter. The better technology, in my view, per my research, is electric everything. It's a better technology, right? You get an electric car, it accelerates faster than any gas cars. They charge really fast now with the better chargers. They last longer. It's just a better, faster, stronger technology, and cheaper, and especially much cheaper, which is why it's winning. And you see it winning in different sectors. But what I invest in as far as the energy revolution stocks is Tesla and Enphase. These are my 2 tier 1 stocks. So Tesla needs no introduction. Literally half of all of the finance YouTube channels are on Tesla, so I don't need to spend much time on Tesla. Tesla's valuation went a little bit up recently, and that is because there is a lot of enthusiasm after Investor Day. I had a chance to watch a few quote-unquote supercuts because I'm on vacation. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch the whole thing, but I am very excited about the future of Tesla. There were a lot of positives, and the market seems to believe that it's a good idea for Tesla to advertise. I've said multiple times that, but I don't really think it's necessary for them to advertise. It's not my cup of tea, but the market seems to love that they're going to advertise, which is why the valuation went up. So anyways, but that's okay. So the stock got a little more expensive. I think what's a better news for Tesla is the fact that the CEO Elon Musk is coming back. He's found a CEO for Twitter, so his attention is going to come back fully to Tesla, and I think that is a bigger catalyst. But right now, the market, to me, the recent rise in Tesla, I read as the excitement of the market saying, oh, Tesla's going to advertise, because it fits into Wall Street's narrative that cars aren't selling, even though they are selling every single car they make. So anyways, very positive for Tesla, very positive about Tesla's future. Tesla is my number 1 position. I think it's the stock of this generation, the stock of the 25 years that we're currently in. So moving on to Enphase. I love Enphase. Enphase is a microinverter stock, right? The idea of Enphase is 1 panel, 1 microinverter. So you put microinverters below each panel. And in order to invest in Enphase and understand Enphase, you have to spend at least 10 hours, I would say a good dozen of hours, studying the difference between microinverters and string inverters. They are not the same thing. SolarEdge, which is a stock that I hear people talk about all the time, SolarEdge is string inverters. String inverters are not the same technology. They are slow to manufacture. They use batch methods of manufacturing. They are very, very heavy to install. Yes, they are cheaper, but they typically last only 12 years. They don't last 25 years like a microinverters. They are not scalable through large flex manufacturing that allows you to, spit microinverters to like just throw them out, dump them to the whole world. If you look at the way microinverters are manufactured, these assembly lines, they really allow for a dumpage. There's no other way to say it, a dumpage of microinverters. And so when you study Enphase, you realize that they now even sell their microinverters to manufacturers of panels, like SunPower, for example. They pre-install pre-built the microinverter, and it's I believe a much better technology than a string inverter, because it's a harder, longer lasting technology, right? A string inverter, for example, if you have a solar panel system over your house, a string inverter, you're going to lose all of the panels. You're going to need to replace the whole string, right? And so a string inverters typically will have, say, 12 panels. You're going to lose power in all of these 12 panels with a string inverter. You're not going to do that if you have a microinverter that fails, which is much rarer because they're more durable, they're smaller. But if you have a microinverter that fails, you're losing one panel. You're not losing 12 panels. So there's a lot of reasons as to why microinverters are winning. The last one, this is not a video on Enphase. I don't know why I'm spending so much time talking about Enphase. I'm sorry, I'm on vacation. But another one is that Enphase complies with the code, right? They tried to put the optimizers below the solar panels because there's code all around the world saying you need to have a shutoff near the solar panels, right? At the level of the solar panels, you need to be able to shut off power in the event of fire. Well, Enphase is able to do that very easily. Regular inverters is a much tougher thing to do, and I know the optimizers are something that they advertise, but it just doesn't work that well. It's very obvious to me that microinverters are the way to go, which is why it's a stock that I really love. And right now, by the way, Enphase is cheaper than Tesla. Now, STEM is a position I just started. I haven't had time to build it. So again, my credible commitment on STEM here is much lower than my commitment to Tesla or Enphase, because I just started out in STEM. But I believe STEM have a shot. They have a shot at being the number 2 player in the storage space. And you would say normally, well, why don't I want to invest in the number 1? Well, number 1 is Tesla, and I have more than a reasonable full position on Tesla. It's unreasonable at this point. So I'm looking for some diversification, but I want to stay in the space. And so I think STEM is a good fit if you're trying to bet on the energy storage. There is so much demand for energy storage, industrial energy storage. There's going to be so much demand with electric trucks that I believe STEM has a shot at being the number 2 player. And they're slowly moving away from being an installer. They're moving away from their capex. They're trying to have a lot of utilities buy their equipment directly themselves without having to use STEM's capital. So STEM really, even though the total return potential I believe is not comparable, not directly comparable, at least to Tesla. I believe the valuation is so cheap that it's more of a value play in the space. In the energy revolution space, STEM is definitely more of a value play. Let me move to healthcare. So there's a healthcare in revolution. That healthcare in revolution is the same as the revolution in banking, which is the whole idea that healthcare is moving to your app. You're going to use an app. That's what I believe. The mega trend is we're going to use apps. We're not going to go see our doctors face to face anymore, at least. And this is what HIMSS more than 70%, right? 70 to 80% of the conditions can be treated through an app. You don't need to go see the doctor, right? And there's two really big plays that I have in that field, that revolution of healthcare field. There's Teladoc and there's HIMSS. I have sold out of Teladoc because I am not satisfied with the growth of Teladoc. I think they've really stalled. And I believe part of the reason why Teladoc is growing so slow is because they are within the health insurance system. They're within the whole, world of partnership with your health insurance companies and working and accepting insurance. And I don't think companies that follow that business model can be as agile as a company like HIMSS, who is entirely outside of the health insurance system and who is able to sell products outside of insurance and innovate really quickly and really make that sell very quickly, right? If you want to use a service like Teladoc, but any other service, take Doximity or any of these other companies, the first question you're going to ask is, am I covered by my healthcare company? And you're going to get into all these paperwork, and at the end of the day, you may not even make the sell. You may not even buy a product. HIMSS is entirely different. HIMSS focuses on products that are not covered by insurance, on preventative healthcare. So to me, it's kind of a double win for HIMSS. So not only does it have a blue ocean, not only does it have a business that is largely unaddressed, chronic conditions that most people don't get treated because they are usually not covered by insurance. That's a big plus for HIMSS. The other big plus is that they're operating outside of the insurance system, which means that they can innovate, iterate, improve on their products much faster, and HIMSS is becoming a big position for me, and it's a favorite of the channel. I've covered it many times on the channel. I think HIMSS is a top stock, a really good company. No investment advice, just my thought on HIMSS. Let me move on to big data. And by big data, more specifically here, I focus and I mean data warehousing stocks and data monitoring stocks. We have Datadog, Snowflake, Palantir, and MongoDB. And what I will say, and this is going to be my quickest coverage of this sector, I'm done buying in this sector right now. I mean, it's getting expensive across the board, and I've been building positions in this sector over the past year and a half. The past 6 months I've started on the channel, I've pretty much covered which stock was cheap. I remember Palantir. Palantir was pretty inexpensive at some point. Datadog was the same thing, pretty inexpensive at some point. But these stocks seem to be having a comeback. They seem to be making a comeback. So to me, this is not a period to add when these stocks are having a comeback. Feel free to look at the videos I've made on these companies on the channel. It really helps the channel, especially right now that I'm gone and not spending a lot of time on the computer. I'm sorry I can't answer any of your comments right now. I'm so sorry about that. So if you want to watch my old videos, they're in the comments section, and you can look at them. They're in the description section of the video. But these stocks are a little expensive right now, so I am staying out. This is not the same thing that I say about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, I think CrowdStrike and Zscaler are still compelling to me. They still have high growth rates. Gross margins are excellent. They're SaaS companies, right? So SaaS companies, the big advantage is that you have recurring revenue. You don't need to fight for that sell every time. You don't need to fight for it. You fight for the sell once, and once you get the sell, then you get revenues, hopefully for decades. You get recurring revenues, hopefully for decades. And CrowdStrike and Zscaler, to me, are the two big players in the space. CrowdStrike, I believe, as a more secure strategic positioning. I will say the competition against CrowdStrike exists, but it is lesser, as it is undeniable in my view that Falcon is the number one system for endpoint security, in my view. I know you have a lot of people who love Sentinel-1, but Sentinel-1, when I look at that company, it seems to me like there's a lot of marketing, but less meat around that claim. So I think CrowdStrike as a more unassailable lead in the endpoint security system, and I love Zscaler as well. Zscaler is zero trust security. It is securing connections across computer networks and across the cloud. Very, very interesting business. They are a pioneer of zero trust. They pretty much invented zero trust. And this company, I believe, is a winning combination with CrowdStrike, because most companies will buy an endpoint security system cloud powered, and they will buy a zero trust security system. And if you own both of these, you pretty much got that whole mega trend in cybersecurity covered, in my view. There's also a lot of fear about Zscaler, but Zscaler is getting a lot of new competition, taking a lot of sales away from them. To me, it hasn't shown in the numbers. Like, you can make a very compelling qualitative case that there's a lot of competition on Zscalers, but when you look at the numbers, it hasn't shown. And so that's one of the reasons too why I've been worried to add on Zscaler, because of this competition concern, but it hasn't shown. So I think they're still the leader by a long shot. And Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is the expensive stock in this set. It's the expensive stock. They focus on what I'm going to call a VPN for websites. Is what they focus on. They do the DNS and all of that securing websites thing. What they do is they protect websites, so you don't know who is broadcasting the website. You have no idea, because if you use net, all you see is the Cloudflare network, and you don't really see whoever is broadcasting the website, and thus you don't have a surface attack. You don't have any company to attack, so it makes your companies less vulnerable to, say, denial of service attacks. So net has a very interesting positioning. The CEO of Net, I would argue, is definitely inspirational. If you've listened to any conference calls of Net, you will recognize that the CEO is very special, in my view, for Net. However, not his fault, but the company is highly valued, and so I'm not adding to Net, and Net is a very tiny position for me. Let me move on to the other megatrend, which this one is a megatrend where we're kind of in the middle of that adoption of the megatrend, at least in the United States. It's e-commerce. E-commerce is the megatrend I'm talking about. If you look at e-commerce in the United States, in Europe, same way, we're nearing about half adoption. We're nearing about 50% adoption of e-commerce. Don't get me wrong; it's gonna go much higher than that, in my view. But e-commerce has grown a lot in the US and a lot in Europe, and thus that's why that's not where I look for growth. Where I look for growth in e-commerce is in Latin America and in Asia, specifically Southeast Asia. Because e-commerce, of course, is very big in China as well, so you can't really invest there because the growth is just not there. So MercadoLibre is my favorite stock in that space. I believe Latin America is going to see amazing growth over the next few decades. They have a lot of good things for them. A lot of countries are getting a lot of manufacturing. If you see what's happening in Mexico with manufacturing over there, there's so much good stuff going on in Latin America. It's funny, but I actually believe that I understand the Latin America market much more than I would understand, say, the Indonesian market, because I live in Texas. I'm right next to Mexico. I have Latin friends. I think I understand this part of the world better, and to me, it makes it a less risky investment, which is why MercadoLibre is my favorite company in the field, and it is also the cheapest, which makes it a no-brainer. Sea Limited did not do so well. They've had a bad quarter. I haven't had a chance to analyze it too well. By the way, you can see I'm on vacation. That's a yes here. They've had a bad quarter, but should have been a yes here. And so the problem is that they still have that overhang from their video game division. And so as soon as I'm back from vacation, I will make a video on what I'm doing with Sea Limited. But I've never liked that overhang of the Garena video game division, and it seems like it's still hurting them. So we'll see. Sea Limited, we'll see. It's a smaller position, so I haven't worried too much about it. But we'll see what I'll do with that. And then Shopify is just too expensive. I'm fully out of Shopify. Yes, they have an interesting positioning. Yes, a lot of brands are fully powered by Shopify, including, say, a brand like Fix, for example, is fully powered by Shopify, but also the Tesla accessory store is fully powered by Shopify. Yes, Shopify is a great company, but everybody agrees. Everybody agrees with me that Shopify is a great company. And as a result of that, the valuation on my metric is insane at a 1.31. So that is a no-go. Let me move to the payment stocks. The payment stock, we have DLocal and Square. Let me, voice my concern about both DLocal and Square. Square is a different story, but these stocks right now, I'm not adding to them. I'm not doing anything with them. They're a smaller position, but I'm not adding to Square or DLocal because of short seller attacks. Both of these stocks are under attack by short sellers. DLocal is Muddy Waters attacking them, and Square has Hindenburg Capital attacking them. And this is an overhang, right? This creates overhangs sometimes for years. This can create an overhang, and so I'm just holding off on these stocks because of the short seller attacks. And of course, it's not like the valuation is the most compelling. To me, the no-brainer stock in the payment space is STNE StoneCo, which is one of the leaders with PagSeguro in Latin America. They're the Square of Brazil, is what I call it. The Square of Brazil. They have a payment system for small businesses in Brazil, and they have a little bit of a QuickBooks, and they're doing so well. Their growth rates are becoming amazing. They're still predicted to grow 40% this year. The company Stone is doing very well, and that valuation is just insanely low at a company that's valued at 2 times gross profit. Enterprise value over gross profit is 2 times. Now, they've had issues with their management in the past. They've made a mistake. They've corrected that mistake, but the stock has been trading very, very low ever since they've had that collateral issue back in 2021, and the market does not seem to have forgotten. But what's interesting about STNE is that both Cathie Wood and Warren Buffett invest in StoneCo, which is always, it's very odd. It's very odd that you would have investors that are so far apart that both like this company. So let me move on to chip makers. So as far as the chip makers go, let me just get out of the way the cheapest one. The cheapest one is Indie, but Indie, let's be serious. Indie is a very, very tiny company. Speculative. It's focusing on the competitors of Tesla and supplying small electronic components for cars for the competitors of Tesla. So Indie is risk compared to, say, a company like AMD. AMD, I believe, even though it's highly valued, AMD is expensive. AMD is still a diversified producer of chips. They're still highly diversified. They produce chips for gaming consoles like the Xbox, but they also have their Xilinx acquisition, which is they have a lot of embedded electronics. They are in my view, and I know on the internet a lot of people disagree with that, but to me they are the leader in CPUs. They make really, really great CPUs, and they have a data center division which is doing pretty well. AMD is a diversified player in the space. It's kind of a new Intel with a more compelling portfolio of product, in my view, when I think about AMD. And more recently, Microsoft announced a partnership with AMD, saying that they will partner with AMD to develop AI chips, and so I think this is all this makes it all very compelling. AMD is a little expensive per my spreadsheet. I was buying it when it was cheaper, but to me, this company is kind of the best of both worlds, the best of the worlds of chips, if that makes sense. And there's Nvidia, of course, and Nvidia, I've sold my position. I've sold it too early, although whenever you sell a position for valuation, you often sell too early. I would love to get back into Nvidia. I would really do. I understand everything about Nvidia. Yes, they are the leader. They have the best GPUs. Yes, these A100s sell for tens of thousands of dollars, and companies can't get their hands on them, and they are at the heart of a revolution. of AI and GPUs. You need so many more GPUs. It's about eight GPUs per server versus only 2 CPUs. So you sell many more GPUs. But the market fully agrees with me on Nvidia. Nvidia is a stunning company. We'll see if the growth catches up to the hype of Nvidia. But at this point, you're in the top 5, one of the top 5 largest company in the world at this point, right? Significantly more expensive than Tesla, and lower growth. So that's why at this point I do not like Nvidia, even though they are at the core of the revolution. Let me move on to AdTech. So AdTech is Pubmatic and the Trade Desk. I own these stocks. I'm not adding to these positions. The main reason why I'm not adding is because the growth rate right now is still pretty low because we're in a recession and there's less and less advertising. Companies do not advertise as much in a recession. That's all I have to say about these 2 stocks. Let me move on to my lifestyle stocks, and I'm going to rename. As soon as I'm back from a vacation, I'm going to rename that the new stocks division, or lifestyle stocks. And so these are stocks that kind of don't fit in any other categories, but these are opportunities to develop new companies and new brands. So let me just go through each of them. You have Celsius Holdings. Celsius Holdings is an energy drink. They could be, I mean, what I call in the title of a video that I made about it, the next monster. If you live in the US, you've probably seen Celsius. They are small packets that you can mix with water, and it's it's kind of an alternative to coffee. And they also sell them as cans. And this company is taking the US by storm. It's a beverage that is extremely trendy, extremely successful among Gen Z, among millennials. Predicted growth, I mean, look at this predicted growth, 67% predicted growth over the next 12 months, which is absolutely insane. You can't walk into a grocery store in the US without having an aisle with a huge display for Celsius right now, and everybody's buying it. And the stock would be expensive if it were not for that outstanding growth. So the outstanding growth actually makes this stock slightly cheaper in my spreadsheet because of that outstanding growth, but otherwise it would be expensive. To me, one of the main concerns that I have about Celsius is their partnership with Pepsi. I think it's highly likely that Pepsi will try to acquire them, and if they acquire them, here your 10-bagger is gone, right? If they acquire it, they're not gonna pay 10 times market cap. And the goal, of course, of this style of investing to me is to hold this stock for 10 plus years, so that you get a 10 or 20 bagger. I believe there's a risk of potential acquisition. Let me move on to the other one in there, which is Lovesac, which is a maker of sectionals and bean bags, innovative maker of that. Really designy products. This is a stock that came up in one of my stock screener searches a few months back, and so this stock is being left for dead. The main reason why, it's trading at one-time gross profit, so left for dead is not even accurate, right? It's like 472 million in enterprise value, gross profit 407 million. Like, who are we kidding? This is a cheap stock. And the reason why it's so cheap is because I'll tell you the reasoning of the market. The reasoning of the market is, interest rates up. People are not buying homes. People are not buying furniture. Let's dump furniture. And you see this in all of the furniture stocks, but this is like the cheapest. And of course, it's a lifestyle brand. And when I made my video on Lovesac, I really compared it to Lazy Boy. And I think it's important to think of it in terms of the legacy company, which would be Lazy Boy Couches, and Lovesac, which would be the new company. Anyways, I recommend you look at this video. It's very interesting stock. It's a very interesting stock. Okay, Figs could be the next Lululemon. They are trying to do what Lululemon did with yoga pants, but they are trying to do it with scrubs, and the growth has stalled, unfortunately. And so Figs is a stock that I would not add to right now, and that I'm not adding to. Then we have DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is a fine, steady Eddie stock. They are the counter positioning against Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure. They provide cloud services to small businesses who are just getting started with their cloud. The growth is steady at 25%, albeit a little smaller than what I would want. And the same is true as far as the growth goes, at least for AXON. AXON is a company that provides cloud services to the police, cameras, or other what they call non-lethal options. Or at least low lethality options. It's a product that you sell to the police, if you're familiar with the product. And same, this is a good growth company, but the growth for me is a little low. But I made a whole video on AXON that was released today, I believe, and so you can watch it and see my thoughts if you're interested in this company. Let me move on to the neobanks. So the neobanks, I'm at a loss of words. I don't know which one to buy. It's always the same valuation. At this point in my portfolio, Nubank is getting about the same size at SoFi for the longest time. Nubank was a smaller company, but Nubank is growing much faster than SoFi, which is what saves Nubank. Like if you take a snapshot of the company and look at the company right now in a snapshot, yes, Nubank is about twice as expensive as SoFi. But when you adjust for growth and when you look at enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth, you actually realize on a forward growth basis about the same valuation as SoFi. So I would say I still like Nubank a tad better than SoFi right now because I have a full SoFi position and because I am tired of the market just always bashing SoFi. It's just a perpetual thing. It's a perpetual thing. They can't catch a break. Like if you follow SoFi, they can't catch a break. And so it's tiring. It's very tiring. Even though both companies fundamentally, to me, have so much going for them. Both of them have so much going for them fundamentally. And I like both companies. And then I will finish with platforms. The reason why I discuss platforms on the channel is because they're a very powerful business model. They're a superior business model in my view. Asset light, very high margins, kind of a self-fulfilling or self-feeding platforms. Once you have a platform going, customers come and suppliers come and they become two-sided platform, and all you are is a layer on top of people doing transactions. And it's a wonderful new type of business model. Platforms are a mega trend. My favorite play in the platform space right now is Airbnb still, and that is despite the quarter that a lot of people say, guidance was disappointing, guidance was weak. I can tell you one thing, yes, they still have tough comps, probably. They may still have tough comps because they had a great 2022, but over the long run, people are still gonna want to have some time off, and so because of that, Airbnb I believe as a bright future. Additionally, they are trying to disrupt the mom and pop rental business with a lot of people who decide to just rent an Airbnb for 2 months and then move to another one. So it's a very disruptive company. Etsy, number one seller of crafts, absolutely outstanding company. To me, they seem to be doing what eBay failed to do. They seem to be doing that with vintage, which is what they call more than 20 years old, and with the handmade sector. They seem to be doing well with that. And Fiverr right now, the stock is cheap. Why is the stock cheap? Because a lot of people are, caught in that Chat GPT hype and saying, well, it's pointless to use Chat GPT. It's pointless to use Fiverr because today anybody can just pay $20 a month and use Chat GPT or use the new Google Board. And yes, there is some level of truth to that, but then you just move to this new world of what we call prompt engineering, which is you still have to have someone who actually orchestrates all of these software, all of these chat boxes, and that's a skill in and out of itself. And so the question is, do you have a lot of people on Fiverr who are actually able to 10x their productivity because they use these tools? So anyways, this is just a bit of a thought here on ChatGPT and Fiverr. All right, that was a lot of stocks. I am on vacation, so I kind of forgot my flow on how to do this, but I hope it's all good. I appreciate all of your likes. Please like, please subscribe. I really need your help to grow the channel. It's very motivating, when you get a video and you get more than 1,000 views. It's very motivating. So I appreciate all of your likes. Feel free to watch all of my old videos. Now is a perfect time because I'm not releasing new ones right now because I am on a vacation. But anyways, this is not investment advice. This is just entertainment. Appreciate you all. Thank you and have a great day.